Heute Abend gibt es ein ganz tolles Konzert bei uns in Düsseldorf, haben wir euch vor ein paar Tagen ja schon mal gesagt. Die Band Heaven 17 wird auf der Bühne stehen. Im Zack, um 21 Uhr circa wird es losgehen. Ja, und jetzt freue ich mich sehr. Wir haben ihn tatsächlich ins Studio bekommen, ganz kurz vor dem Konzert, den Mitbegründer von The Human League, The British Electric Foundation und natürlich Heaven 17. Er ist ein Pionier der modernen elektronischen Musik. Musiker und Musikproduzent Martyn Ware. Thank you so much for being on the show just right before the concert tonight.
1 minute I'm doing a sound check.
And now you're in the studio.
And then now I'm in this studio, and then I'll be doing the concert, and then I'll see you, and then we'll have a drink.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do tonight, definitely. I just told the audience you really are a pioneer of modern electronic music and a respected producer. Heaven 17 is the band you started back then with Ian Craig Marsh after the split from Human League in 1980.
Right. And British Electric Foundation, so
Absolutely.
we were working with lots of famous singers. And always had a passion for electronic music, which obviously came from starting with the Human League. But I always had a kind of different twist on it. I wanted it to go in more of a kind of electronic soul flavour kind of direction, and I think we managed that a little more with Heaven 17. But at the concert tonight we're going to be playing a few surprises, so we're going to be doing some things we've never done before from the early Human League as well.
What I think is fascinating, I mean, you're on stage here tonight in Düsseldorf, but it's actually, for the first time in your career, you're here. What took you guys so long? We've been waiting for years.
I have no idea. We've done 2 tours of Germany, and for some reason we've never done Düsseldorf. Which would seem to be an obvious place to do.
It is, especially with the conference going on. We have the Electricity Conference here.
Yeah,
and when it comes to this music from Düsseldorf, how much were you influenced by the sound in the early days?
Massively influenced. I mean, Kraftwerk were, you know, one of the big influences we had. I remember hearing Trans-Europe Express when at a house party in the back garden of Cabaret Voltaire in Sheffield on a big PA, and I just thought, I want to do this. That's what I want to do for a living. And that was the turning point for me. And I always loved German bands, and I'm not really sure which ones came from Düsseldorf, but we used to listen to, you know, Can and Amandul and Faust and Neu.
Yeah.
They were big influences on what we were doing in the 70s.
They're from Düsseldorf as well, Neu. They're from Düsseldorf here.
I'm a big fan, yeah.
When we talk about Heaven 17 to the early days, I mean, you guys didn't really play live in the early days. Why did you do that? Because you were constantly on the road with Human League, I remember back then.
Yeah, it was kind of just like a conceptual decision, really. We did a lot of touring with the Human League, where we toured with Iggy Pop and Susie and the Banshees and various electronic bands, and we lost a lot of money, you know. And we decided when we started Heaven 17 that we wanted to be like an enigmatic studio band.
Yeah.
And our strength was in the studio. And it got a bit out of hand, really. Well, we did TV shows. We did loads of TV shows and all over the world. But we resisted lots of very, very lucrative offers to do tours. I remember we turned down a tour for $5 million in just California. And looking back on it now, I'm thinking, what was I thinking?
What was going on back then?
What was wrong? And it was because we didn't want to become that kind of stadium rock thing.
Yeah.
Right? We thought we're going to keep it real. You know, it's a cliche, but we had an artistic mission, and that's what we wanted to do. Yeah. And then when we played all our cards in 1996, I think it was, or 97, I was working with Vince Clarke from Eurasia, and he said, do you want, you know, if you were going to play live, would you like to support us on our big arena tour? So I went, all right then. After 17 years of not performing live, and the next thing we know, we're playing to 18,000 people at the National Exhibition Centre in Birmingham. And we've not looked back since, so we love performing live. To us, we're kind of like big kids. We still enjoy it a lot.
Was it really difficult, I mean, adapting the studio material for a live performance?
It's impossible to do it justice fully live, so we have to use some elements that are on Pro Tools, because otherwise we'd have a stage full of keyboard players and it would look really weird and it'd be too expensive to do anyway. So, but we do, all the vocals are completely live. We do as many keyboards as we can live, and so that's how we keep it. And in fact, we've done a full band as well for when we were doing Penthouse And Pavement tour. we had a bass player and an electric guitar player and electric drums, and that nearly bankrupted us. So we're back to a smaller, kind of more compact unit now.
Yeah. When you talk about the studio and musical technology, when I think back to the early days, to the classics, but what's the greatest impact to you as a musician when it comes to today's technology? Because I bet sound-wise, back then everything really was a limitation in the 70s and 80s.
But limitations are good. You know, that's why I always say I do a lot of lecturing to young musicians, and I say, you know, if you imagine a situation where you've got to create every sound from scratch electronically, every kick drum, every snare, every hi-hat, every bass, you start from scratch. We just plug some wires in and there are no presets. Can you imagine that world? Well, that's the world that we started in. Yeah. And it was a great education because we learnt how to, in essence, recreate all our instruments from scratch every time we started a new song. And you know, Vince Clarke still works like that in his studio.
Yeah, he does, actually, yeah.
And so now we live in a world where you've got an infinite variety of things to pick from. You know, you can buy a Logic Pro for 200 quid, and it's got like 1,000 virtual instruments on it, you know, and... You know, I'm sponsored by Arturia, or a big virtual synth. I get all their stuff, and people give me free synths and everything. I'm going, I still use the original synths that I created being...
So the old gear, you still have it in the studio with you?
I just two synths, the original Roland System 100 and the Korg 700. And they're the two synths that I used to create Being Boiled, the original Humour League synth. Yeah. And I still use those more than any... In fact, we're using them on new Heaven 17 material now.
So there is actually new material.
Yes.
When can we expect a new album?
We're also... Me and Glenn are so ridiculously busy doing other things.
Yeah, I bet you have so many different projects.
We do... I do 3D soundscapes around the world. In fact, I'm doing one in Ludwigsburg at the moment. Down near Stuttgart with D&B. Glenn and I are both doing game sound design and film design, TV. So we said we wanted to do a new album where we're actually in the studio together rather than work remotely, which is easy to do nowadays, because that's where the magic happens, when you're actually together. And we said, right, well, we started this 15 months ago. We've done 2 tracks. That's it. We put them out, and they're great, and we're performing one of them tonight. But we're kind of halfway through most of the rest of the album now. Yeah.
When we talk about the name Heaven 17, I mean, of course, people know you got it from A Clockwork Orange, but specifically, what made you choose that name for the band?
It sounds great, doesn't it? It just,
well, it does.
Not alliteratively, onomatopoeically. Sounds great. Heaven 17. And, you know, it brings to mind like some weird gospel group or something with 17 people in it. And... we just really like the sound of it. And actually, it was our manager at the time, his idea to turn... It was originally all spelt out like 17, but if you turn it into a numeral, it becomes internationalised, right?
That's right, that's right.
So it's clever, yeah.
We'll go back to the concert maybe tonight. The current live lineup. How many people do you perform with tonight?
There's myself and Glenn, obviously, and there's Berenice, who... controls playback and plays keyboards, and then there's 2 backing vocalists, Rachel and Haley. But we have a kind of fluid pool of musicians that we use. This is the lineup for tonight, but it changes. I mean, tomorrow night we've got 2 different backing vocalists. In Manchester for Halloween. We're not wearing Halloween outfits tonight, don't worry.
Even though it's getting bigger here every year in Germany.
It's massive.
It is big here.
I was in Ludwigsburg, and they had the world's biggest pumpkin festival.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 400,000 pumpkins. It was a bit trippy, to be honest.
But I bet the classics will be played at the concert tonight as well. I have one, of course, loaded up, Heaven 17, 1983 actually, recording here. Maybe it was Top of the Pops, but this is the big song, Heaven 17. Ihr werdet es mit Sicherheit auch kennen da draußen. Hier sind's, und heute Abend wird es bestimmt auch auf der Bühne gespielt werden. Na klar, Temptation.